The Detroit is Different Community Group is a 501c3 organization focused and built around the project work of the A Lot of Studio Project. The A Lot of Studio Project is the project allowing for podcast conversation, live music performance, and also giving away fruits and vegetables within the community. When you support the Detroit is Different Community Group 501c3 organization, you're supporting the A Lot of Studio Project. Send your email address along with your donation to #Detroit 501c3 to the Detroit is Different Community Group for your tax-deductible donation letter. All right, back again in full effect in the Detroit is Different podcast studios. And today I got, as I always talk about, special guests. This is more than a special guest. This is like my brother, best friend, brother, partner in arms. Probably I spend more time talking to him as I plan things out than most people. Him and my dad are kind of the key people on point, along with Suzanne in project management, of how I do anything. And if you know me, and you know me well, and you know something that I'm working on and who to get in contact with me, or, you know, the people that you think you could reach that could reach me best, this is the man that you reach. But he's also a very creative person himself. And this is his first time on Detroit is Different. That's kind of how it all spills and comes together. Michael Willingham, how you feeling?
Humbled, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Most definitely. And this is an interesting interview. As I always say, anytime I interview people where I already know their backstory, but I'm sure I'm going to find out a little bit more than how things go, just because that's how Detroit is Different go.
Indeed.
So the root always goes family, foundation. What brought your people to the city of Detroit?
I know my great-grandmother was from Alabama.
Alabama, whereabouts?
Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
She has family in Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay.
So I'd have to say somewhere from one of those two places. Auto industry, I don't know. I can't say if anybody came up here to join that, but a lot of my people was in the service. You know, my great-grandfather, grandfather. You know, that kind of thing. So
what branch of the service?
Just regular Army.
Okay.
Army. Yeah.
So with that, you talk about coming up here from Alabama and Youngstown. Youngstown, another one of those industrial cities and towns. Did you ever go down to Montgomery or visit Youngstown?
No, I only kind of heard stories like from my pops and my uncle. They more so did the visiting.
Okay.
To like Youngstown.
Okay, what would they talk about when they say they go down there and visit with peoples?
I mean, they were kids, so a lot of it's kind of like a blur to me, you know. Like these things were told to me when I was younger, just kind of like in passing and things like that. So it's land, space, you know, any you can give a kid anything, you know. So they kind of just like the vacation aspect of it, I guess.
Okay, so from there, that brings us to Detroit. Whereabouts? Where were your people at? In Detroit, where did they kind of scratch their teeth, plant their feet?
Well, not far from here, actually. Glendale and 12th.
Okay.
My great-grandmother's house is on that block. It's been there, still standing. No one's in it, but it's still there currentently. Okay,
so great-grandma moved this way. Do you know years about generation? Like, did your dad grow up there? Who were the people that grew up there?
Yeah, it was definitely my dad's generation. My dad, my uncle. Prior to them, I don't think it was that house.
Okay, because this neighborhood is definitely unique in the sense of, especially that thoroughfare. This was a completely Jewish neighborhood at one point in time. So if they kind of planted roots here early on, they were like some of the first black families over this way.
Could be. I remember it was a cleaners on Woodrow Wilson in Glendale. Just one of the first black businesses I remember as a kid just seeing in the neighborhood. Mr. Bibbs, it was a liquor store right on Woodrow, Glendale. He's another, black business owner just in the area, when I was younger.
Okay. And you speak about your great-grandmother, your great-grandfather, or was she just a woman getting property herself? What stories do you know of your great-grandfather?
No, they were together. He was deceased by the time, I came about. So I don't know a whole lot, about him. But, my father, my uncle, all of them was under his tutelage.
Okay. And military background. So you said Army, Army at the time. My grandfather, another Army man, he served in tour of duty World War II.
Okay.
Also, uncle that served in Vietnam. Did you have service members that served, or were they just?
Yeah, my grandfather was Vietnam for sure. My great grandfather, I'm not for sure, but I mean, considering time, could have been one of the world wars.
Okay. All right. So we talk a little bit about history and everything. Great grandmother on the other side. What was she doing? Did she was she working? Was she just more so with the fam? What was that background?
My great grandmother was a gangster though. But
Okay.
And when I say that, I say it loosely, but she did hair in our basement. I just remember friends, family, come through when I was younger, go in the basement. She had whole set up chairs, washing, stations and all of that, just for her to do her thing. So between hair, she did some seamstress stuff as well. So she was, I guess you can say she was creative in her own right.
But entrepreneurial at that too.
Yeah. But she never worked no job. So
she always made her own money.
I would have to say that. And again, we talking about times when my great grandfather wasn't there. Like I said, I don't know him at all. All I know is her, from that house. So that's all I seen. She kept a little 32 in the purse. So that's why I say call her gangster. She eventually went through some, Alzheimer's type stuff, and that's when it got a little bit wild, But, I love her to death. That's my baby. She passed when I was 15, 16.
Okay. So she was more like a matriarch of the whole family and kind of a glue of the family.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. And as you talk about like that glue of the family, you coming up yourself, having that relationship with her, but what do you remember more so about your childhood? What neighborhood did you grow up in? Where were you at?
I was here. I used to walk Highland Park with her up to A&P.
Okay, I remember that.
Remember when Ivanhoe was on Glendale? Yeah, we used to walk up there. McDonald's was right next door, of course. We'd take that stroll, shoot down to Sears. You know how far that is, and do a little shopping or whatever. Catch a cab back to the crib.
So you grew up in this Rosa Parks neighborhood. So like when people talk about like my connection with Mike, is sort of knowing some of the same people, being in the neighborhood, and other things too. What was the neighborhood like for you as a kid? What do you remember?
The houses were all populated. It was kids in the neighborhood. So I ended up going to the east side for private school at some point.
What school?
Bethany Lutheran.
Okay.
Out of Drive, Berkshire.
Okay.
It's wild over there,
school.
too.
Okay, Catholic school, though.
It was Lutheran.
Lutheran school?
Yeah, I don't really know the difference between all of it. All I could tell you is school, church, same thing. That's enough for me. So I got sent to the east side for a little bit.
Who was the person like pushing you to get to that school as opposed to like just going, to Glacier and, the schools over this way?
Well, my cousins are, well, I don't want to say all, it was a couple at the time because I'm the oldest. So a couple of my cousins was going to school over there.
Okay.
So they were kind of already rooted in that. I got family on the east side anyway, so that's where, my transition to that. I went and stayed over there for a little bit. Went to the private school, and I stayed going there, but end up starting to commute back home closer to like the 8th grade, 7th grade, something like that.
Okay. Now, the Lutheran school, kind of Catholic school experience is a little bit different. Did you recognize the difference between that and public school, like when you were younger, or was it just one of those things where you didn't even, you're a kid, you don't see it?
Nah, it was immediate. It was like, I went there in the 4th grade, so I was old enough, but I don't know. It definitely was a different experience for me. My private school life, like, school wasn't hard. It wasn't challenging. I wasn't failing to know things like that, but I wasn't getting no straight A's. I was just doing whatever to get by type of thing. Then you fast forward to the transition to the east side. The kids in this school was actually achieving, and they was doing things, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, I ain't really like, I don't want to say being last in line, because I definitely wasn't that, but I seen people reaching for things, interests, sports, all of that kind of organized sports came into my life at that time. So that was different. The whole religious aspect of it kind of threw me for a loop too. You know, I kind of felt ways back then. I didn't know how to express them, and I didn't really have nobody to talk to. But it just wasn't clicking for me. I didn't believe everything everybody believed. You know, I had a core belief system, but as a kid, you know, it's kind of confusing. So, you know, I kind of kept all of those feelings to myself till, you know, much later or whatnot. But it was a great experience there. Very cultured, if you will.
And also, this is an interesting experience too, because you also have the religious school experience, but the religious school experience with black students is different than, I'm sure, if you're at like a Lutheran or Catholic school, like in the middle of, I don't know, the middle of Michigan,
Sure.
you know, so like, you know, the poors and things like that. What was, because it brings a different type of student to a school where their parents are like paying for a school, or like it's a different type of
It
commitment.
definitely was. It was tuition for sure.
Yeah. So what were your classmates like? Because I'm sure, you know, that's not like a public school experience per se.
I'm probably cool with every single person from that school still. MJ, he actually went there. I met him probably in like the 5th grade. So, you know, that's one of my good friends
As
still
well.
standing. Yeah, from back relationships from then. So, probably a couple other people I still keep in touch with.
And when you say MJ the Don is a hip hop artist just like myself, but also right now way more enterprising beyond just getting on the microphone and rapping, but real estate, production. MJ makes moves, you know what I'm saying? He puts
definitely.
plays together, makes moves. So did you kind of notice the families of the students are a little different too? Like, did you notice
I'm glad
that?
I'm glad you kind of said it like that. Because I thought about this the other day. This is the first place I've been to see married families, mother, father, children. You know what I mean? My household wasn't that way. A couple of friends I was running with, their household wasn't the same way. No judgment one way or another, but I did notice that. Now, does that have something to do with how the kids were acting? Maybe. Maybe they gave them the motivation to reach for better. But whatever it was, that school put a battery in my back. That kind of just turned me over. You know.
Okay, when you say battery in your back, and that's a real young age too. You're talking 4th grade, so that's like 8, 9 years old.
9, 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
9, 10. So that battery in your back from there was, what about quality of life? What at 9, 10 were you like, okay, I want this?
So, I mean, you're talking about competition, right? Scholastics. Like I said, I just got into organized sports then. So you're talking about track, basketball. I don't know if I did soccer or not, but softball, whatever I could play there, whatever I could do to kind of be involved, it was cool. The school was like a family, I guess you could say that. And that's probably why I say I'm still cool with mostly everybody from there to this day. You know, I think everybody's pretty much doing something. You know, everybody's alive and well that I know of. So.
Okay. And we'll get further into this because, you know, your family, your children. But I do want to at least stop right here and kind of get this. Do you think that this whole idea of the family and pushing towards success is something that, like, is it the culture of the school, or is it already like ingrained in who the students are from the culture at home? Just, you know. And I don't know if it's even an absolute. It may be like one of those things where 60% is the house, 40% is the school, or vice versa. Like, what would you say?
I might have to go more so. I mean, the house always got a role to play, but, you know, when we in the school, you know, the house is the house, the school is the school. So, I think it's more so the school environment itself being more like family. We had relationships with the other parents and everything too. So Yeah, like I say, I don't know if it was specifically just each individual household as opposed to like a collective. So yeah, that's probably what I say to that.
And the reason I ask is because, education is always a big topic when we
Indeed.
think about what can happen. And, people talk about the old adage, our children are the future. So what were some of the things that was happening then and at that school that actually connected parents more to all of the students there, not just their kid?
Well, it wasn't a 700-800 person school anyway. So once you're there for a year, you kind of start to know everybody. And, everybody, some of the people went there from preschool on up. I came late, but, the family dynamic, I guess, is built in that. If you with the same people from preschool all the way to 8th grade, I mean, it's kind of natural that way, I guess.
So stopping some of the transient turnover that may exist.
Indeed. Like I said, I know a lot of people that went there like the whole time. I don't remember when my cousin started going, but maybe 1st, 2nd grade. So a few years before I did or whatever, all the way up to the 8th. So I don't know. It was just a cool culture there. It was a great experience. What else could I say about it? I mean, it's still standing. I don't know if it's active to this day, but there were several other schools that were just like it. Not all black. I'm not saying that, but like you say, when you add the culture, the black culture and religion together, you have a little different experience. So you take my one school, then you had Peace, Mount Calvary. It was probably like 6 schools kind of in the district you want to call it. So these were the schools that we all played against in sports. So we had fake rivalries and friends at those schools as well too. So I don't know. Like I said, it was a good time for me. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I'm talking your story, mom and dad. What's the background? You're speaking more your dad's side now, your mom's side. How did your mom's family make their way to the city?
I don't really even know much about that side
Okay.
as far as getting them here. I know when I was younger, my grandfather did work at like a plant. He lost part of his arm, so he's got like I don't know, like a forearm prosthetic that's got like a hook on it. So I wasn't scared of it, but he used to be scary to people because of that. But his other arm was like Popeye, like knock your head off with it, man. It was like cock strong. So, but other than that, I don't know. He was seemed to be kind of to himself a little bit. I think him and I had more conversation toward his last days. I don't know. He just proud of me.
What side of town and what neighborhood?
Livernois and the Lodge is the area. Turner and Midland.
Okay, the long streets as they call them.
Yeah. So
because those blocks, if people know, like I don't know what it is about those blocks, like around like almost like Puritan to the Lodge.
Yeah,
like one street. So you be on the block with somebody your whole life and be like, I don't know who.
Indeed.
Is on that side of the street. And
Facts.
it's like, no, I live on the same block. So shout out to the mailman that worked that area.
Cardio rich.
So that dynamic, mom and dad, what were they doing when you were younger?
So my mom was 16 when she had me. My pops was 18. So my mom was in school still. Once she graduated, she worked a few years, and then we moved out of the house from there. Moved over to Wyoming, Chicago area on Ward.
Kind of like that's like the McKenzie neighborhood.
Yeah,
sorta.
definitely the McKenzie neighborhood. That neighborhood is what got my ass in trouble, and that's why I got shipped to the east side.
Okay.
Just over there. And ironically enough, I always joke, I got a friend that I've known longer than my mother. Still to this day, my best friend. He happened to live in that same neighborhood at the time. So I mean, call it what you want. His fault, my fault, whoever. We was getting into some shit.
Yeah.
So it got to a point to where we just kind of had to be put in the corners for a second. My corner was on the east side.
And when you say like into some shit, like what type of like regular boy stuff or like
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I wasn't robbing or no shit like that, but you know, I'm third grade skipping school. You know, out doing whatever. Play video games, might go behind the house in the woods, playing tag, you know, whatever. But no, it wasn't nothing that involved destruction or it didn't have no bearing on nobody else. It was just me and him.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, I guess you could say that was little boy stuff. So.
Yeah. So at that point on the east side, what neighborhood on the east side you at?
My grandma stayed on Monarch. So you're talking about 7 Mile between Mile and Ryan.
Okay. So now
So
as
you
we
talking
talk
about Persian.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Persian neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know. So whole different flair, whole different feel, different neighborhood, but I know a little bit of your story, your family over that way too.
Indeed.
So what was it like going to a neighborhood with way more of your family members?
I don't know. It's always cool. It was always love because of that. You know what I mean? So I met friends through them, of course, and people on the block and around the corner and all of that kind of thing. So no, that was always a good time. I always love to go over to the east side. You know.
Yeah, and your family kind of has roots around that way too, because even some of my peoples that are around there. So we think of like Coney Gardens. We think of you know, that whole Persian like footprint.
Yeah.
You know, Mound, the Sojourner Truth homes and stuff like that. Like
It's another private school over there on Outer Drive and Mile, East Bethlehem. So that was another one of the schools that was in the district.
okay,
So
okay,
I don't know what it was about the east side and private schools.
yeah, they was popping up.
Yeah, for sure.
So that kind of leads you into kind of our introduction past that schooling. And wait, I'm skipping over your pops. What was your pops doing?
All right, which time? I'm sorry.
Work, like your kind of middle school journey and everything like that.
My pops was an engineer. He did design for GM, you know, tier 1 suppliers, all alike. So that was his career, my whole life. You know, automotive industry design.
Was his schooling from
The streets. He didn't go to school. So it seemed like early on all of this shit was easier before the school element was really kind of pressed on us. But I don't want to call it an internship, but like his teachers had an interest in him. You know, my dad's a very intelligent guy. So from those relationships, I mean, that sky was the limit, you know. He got the opportunity and he took the opportunity and, you know, he killed it. So
like vocational school from high school?
yeah, it was, I don't think it was vocational, but it was from a high school relationship, like where he went after that. You know,
Okay.
It's a couple of little holes in my mind as far as that transition, but I do know it was based off of one of his teachers. Was it Consiglio? I don't remember his name. My mom remembers the name, but
Okay. But that
he got alley-ooped into the game that way.
so this relationship kind of leads you into some of the work that you do now. And I didn't even know, like I said, I'm gonna find out some stuff. I didn't know your dad was into engineering as well and drafting. Was he an artist as well?
Ironically, he was.
Okay. 'Cause
My grandfather too, actually. I mean, I don't think it has no correlation, you know, but
it is still the truth.
yeah.
Yeah, because Mike, as you see, the jewelry he's wearing, the sweatshirt he's wearing, artistry, design with many things. It bring into life all types of things to life. Like whatever you think you can draw and design, Mike can do that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain it that way, but that's really
Yeah.
That's really is.
So like even with 3D printing, when 3D printing was the first time I heard about it, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, Mike was one of the first people presenting that concept. Like, oh yeah, I can probably draft in reference to this. And
yeah, because I wasn't even sold on 3D printing in the beginning. You know, it took me a while, but I did my research to it, and I mean, things are way more practical now. In the beginning, everything is always, if you ain't got big dollars, you can't get with it. So I think it just became more practical over time, and I figured out a way to kind of navigate in that space. So,
Make it work.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely the future. That
brings us to high school, Cass Tech. You connect with another one of my best friends, brothers, in DeJuan Willingham, DeJuan Wooden, and then Mike Willingham, and then just B Hen, Charles Ivy, a lot of people, a lot of dudes that graduated Cass Tech class 2001 are people connected to me through DeJuan and Mike and B and Tristan. And just it's a lot of people. It's a lot of Ricardo. I mean, I can't even name everybody, but Cass Tech. Why you choose Cass Tech?
The girls, strictly, flat out. In 8th grade, I would watch the PSL basketball games. You see Cass, you see Renaissance. For whatever reason, those two caught my eye. I mean, ironically, they both scholastically great, right? None of that had nothing to do with that. It was literally the cheerleaders, and I chose Cass.
So when so I guess that in the recruitment tool they can remember this, but what was it like going to Cass? Because you went to, as we know, the old Cass, as people say.
Yep.
What was the Cass experience like, going from a school that was much smaller to one of the biggest schools, not just in the district, but in the state?
So you walk through the doors, it's overwhelming. You get into the auditorium, it's huge, bunch of people in there. First 30 seconds, I immediately recognized somebody I knew, so I went over to chop it up with her. And after that, the day was cool. I ain't, I guess the jitters or whatever you want to call it, all of that was kind of gone. But still didn't know what was going on. So you still kind of vast space learning how to navigate. So, I was to myself.
Okay.
And then basketball is probably what opened up things for me. That's where I met Tristan, LaParis, most of the guys that I got cooler with all started with basketball at Cass.
Yep. And as we talk about that, I didn't even mention LP, but definitely LP too. That, and even your wife, you met at Cass Tech.
Yeah.
So it's unique that these people that you met in high school have been people that you've carried these relationships for forever.
Forever, yeah.
You know, this is unique. And then also even to, you got something we're going to bring up in a minute, but what do you think was so cool about your Cass Tech experience? And what do you think makes going to Cass Tech such a dope experience for somebody from Detroit?
Well, the first thing is that everybody from Cass ain't nobody special. And when I say that, they look just like you, me, anybody, doing regular things. However, the people there generally tend to, I don't know, I ain't gonna say achieve or strive for things a little harder. I don't know if it became a competition between us all that pushed everybody harder, but whatever it was kind of like that kind of thing.
So kind of the same question about the Lutheran school. So was it the students themselves, or was it the structure of the teachers and the administration? And then to what degree?
Well, I mean, if the faculty didn't give a damn, then obviously that would show. So that had to play a big part in it. I remember Mr. Emil. This was my drafting teacher. I used to be late to his class all the time too. He used to not cuss at me for real, but he used to cuss me out about it. But the thing is, he wanted me to go on to the College of Creative Studies because he seen whatever it was in me. Teachers like that all over Cass. They see things in the students, and they, I guess they project that outward. and we absorb it how we absorb it, and
Now, while that also is going on, the social dynamic is going on too. Like you're
that part was live. The social part was live.
You're getting acclimated. I remember it'd be days, for whatever, whether I was in school or not in school sometimes. I found myself gas parking lot, kicking it with you guys.
Yeah.
Going over rap songs and things like that. What was, did at that time, did you think to yourself like, okay, these are kind of going to be people that'll be in my life for forever?
No, I ain't gonna say I wasn't thinking like long term, but I mean at that age, your vision is tunnel. You really can't see much outside of that. So I wouldn't say that I thought that these people would be, but for all intents and purposes, I didn't see a reason why they wouldn't be either.
Okay. So CCS wasn't what you were thinking, but you were one of the best CAD students there. So for people that don't know what CAD is, computer-aided drafting, that is like drawing up the blueprints of what things go on. So like when you buy some furniture from IKEA and you're like, what is going on here? And like you see how it's put together in those drawings and drafts.
Like instruction books that got dimensions and all of that kind of stuff on it.
It's people that put that type of stuff together. Mike's one of those people. You had these skill sets like 11th grade. You had a instructor that saw promise in you, but you didn't really see that in CCS. What was your journey after Cass Tech?
I went to Wayne State for a few years, at least 2.
Okay.
Yeah, for mechanical engineering.
Okay. Why did you shift?
Well, by what you want to say, 03?
Yep.
So by 03, I was in this one math program called the Emerging Scholars Program. And at this point, it had started getting real serious.
When you say serious, what you mean?
I guess elevated in the courses.
Okay, so it goes from because you and my dad are the only people that presented to me 2 + 2 doesn't always equal 4. So it starts getting into the math goes from because you're like one of the smartest people in math in most rooms, period. But I'm guessing like the math, the science, everything becomes more accelerated.
Yeah, and the bigger problem was once the courses got elevated, the teachers began to speak English less. So in this one particular class, I couldn't understand the teacher.
Okay.
Also at this time, my father was killed in 03.
And I wanted to, we'll definitely go through that. But continue, and then I'll come back to that.
I forgot where we at.
So you were saying the teacher you didn't understand.
Oh yeah. So at that point, I left Wayne State completely alone. You know what I'm saying? My mind wasn't. I just wasn't in it.
Your presence of mind wasn't there.
Yeah.
And you talk about your father passed, and I've dealt with the passing of a parent and my mom, but whole different amount of circumstances for you. Your father was murdered.
Yeah, he was murdered in the house that we lived in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're at the time 20?
Yep, 20.
20
Couldn't
years
even drink
old.
yet.
Yeah. So how do you conceptualize this period? And then at this time also, you and your father are like, you're like damn near, Trey from Boys in the Hood, because you live with your dad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in that same
He
relationship.
was more like, I hate to say it like that, but he was like a brother to me, because I didn't have no older brothers. Mm-hmm. I'm the oldest grandkid, so it wasn't nobody before me. I had my dad, my uncles, and all of their friends to kind of hang around. So when I got older, him and I kind of adopted an older brother, younger brother type of thing. We used to fight all the time, and I don't mean like we wasn't never pissed at each other, but just fucking around. You know what I mean?
Wrestling.
And just crazy for no odd reason. So it messed me up bad. You know what I mean? Just from that dynamic alone.
And then you're still, I mean, 20 is still very young.
Indeed.
To lose anybody, but to lose a parent that young, especially to murder, whereas murder is something that can live in the mind of people for a long time. How did you even kind of come to any semblance of like, first, when did it hit you like, oh, like, did it take a while to even hit you what happened, how it happened, to conceptualize, to just keep going through? Do you still go through the whole concept of like what, why, and how?
Well, I guess just in reference to your first question, it was kind of immediate for me. The day it happened, I talked to him like maybe 30 minutes, within 30 minutes from it happening. You know, I was out somewhere. I told him I'd be home, you know, whatever time. So I'm on my way to the house. Yeah. I get a phone call, a weird phone call. You know, I'm not going to say who it was from, but somebody asked me where I was at. I said, I'm on my way, you know, to the block or whatever. And they tell me that they heard something just went down on the block. How long is it going to take me to get there? I'm like, shit, I'll be there in like 20 seconds. He's like, all right, I'll be there in about 5 minutes. Now, as I'm having this conversation, I see a black unmarked police car turn out in front of us and shoot. Now, I'm driving out 12th Street, by the way, coming from like the Boulevard area. So now me and the person that I'm in the car with, I'm a passenger. They flooring it following the cop car.
Yeah.
So we get to Glendale, and, you know, it's sold up. You can't turn down there. I hop out the car, and I'm going down the street. As I'm going down the street and I'm approaching the house, I see him in the doorway. So it clicked. I already knew what it was. At that time, it was, I don't know how many few officers there. I was like the first person outside of whoever was there on the scene. So it was another recognizable face there that came and stopped me. Like, I'm getting ready to up into the crib because I see what time it is.
Yeah.
So this person comes out of nowhere and kind of blocks me off and not let me there. So now I'm wrestling with this person. Cops get me and they put me in the car. So, you know, after that, it was a wild night. But I immediately, like I said, I knew what it was. Like I said, I was there so early. It wasn't nobody else there, just the cops, him, and that person.
And in this whole incident, like I say, like it's life-changing, period. But this is life-changing at a young age. Therefore, me knowing you and knowing your story, I believe this is an event, obviously, that changes the next steps of your life, period.
Absolutely.
What's in your mind? Like, how are you even getting together? Definitely Wayne State. Yeah, it's hard to focus on that.
Yeah.
I assume it's hard to focus on anything.
It was. Yeah, I wasn't focused on anything. I didn't. I don't want to say lost, but I mean, for lack of better, yeah. You know, I was lost, but I was never like actionless, if you will. Very next morning, you know, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, get dressed. I go up to, trying to think what the name of the place was. I think it's called Vallejo right now. It's 14 Mile and 75. As soon as you come up, well, I guess it's Stevenson Highway and 14 Mile. That whatever that building was, Collins and Aikman was the name of it then.
Okay.
So that's where he was, you know, working at. So I'm up there at 5 o'clock in the morning. As soon as I hit the door, everybody look at me like a ghost. Of course, the hotlines is running. Everybody know what time it was. So when I walked through the door, that was confirmation. So it was a weird feeling. It was a creepy feeling in the room. You know what I mean? But whatever. Went and cleared this stuff out, said my piece, and left. So
how did you? Because that's unique too, and I guess like the presence of mind to even act on that. Because in times of grieving and immediate death, it's hard to make any decision, but to know that like, all right, it's business to handle on behalf of where my father was at. How was your mind? You know, even in that space.
I mean, just, shit had to be done, and that's all. That's from the time, like I said, I got up and went up to Collins and Aikman. I just know that shit had to be done. I mean, that's my mindset from that day forward. The shit had to be done. It ain't really an excuse behind it or a feeling behind none of it. Shit got to be done. So I move with the mind that shit got to be done.
Okay. And along with that being done, you also take on, like me at a very young age, the responsibility of a household too.
Indeed.
The household where the murder took place too.
Yeah.
Was that tough? Like being in the house, like how creepy was that for a while? Like how was your mind at ease in that?
That didn't bother me at all. I mean, I never had nightmares about it. I don't have no visions about it. I don't know. Like I said, maybe once I realized whatever it was, maybe I shot an armor over myself, and it was just like that was that. I don't know. But it didn't bother me at all.
Okay.
I mean, I love being there. You know what I mean?
And like even from my mom passing and others I know close to me passing, one of the tough things is the grieving process becomes more difficult because the people that come towards you
Absolutely.
and will ask these questions that I'm asking now, but it'll be like next day. What was happening? Who do you think it would be? Why do you think it would be? How did it happen? Did you recognize anything? Was the behavior different? And you went through these questions probably with the police officers too. But by the time you get to person number 7, that may be like a distant cousin down the line, or God forbid, a distant cousin's friend that, popped up with some chicken and, some potato salad. It's like, yo, bro, I really would rather not talk about this.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be rude to you, but
Right.
I don't want to talk about, like, let's talk about anything else. Like, with murder, it's even more pressing like that.
Yeah.
How are you navigating those discussions? Because I assume those discussions are still discussions you may still have to this day when people bring this up.
People don't really bring that up. It's almost like I have had the conversation with you and select other people, but I don't know. I don't want to say it kind of feel like taboo type waters, but
Yeah.
I never really had to go in depth with answering questions. I know the police made me go through a lie detector test back then. And from that experience, I never liked questions ever again. To this day, I don't like being bombarded with questions. I don't know if they recognize that or just maybe I didn't look approachable to be asked those questions. I don't know. Whatever it was, I never really had to go into it a lot. If the conversation came up, it was just kind of was like whatever. We were having a conversation, and it just rounded about to that through general conversation. So maybe we would just talk about it generally. But yeah, I never really had to uncomfortably navigate them conversations.
Okay. So from there you're in the mix, you're in the flow, and then you deal with another blow. Like another one of the people in the sect that we didn't bring up, in Mike G.
Yeah.
Mike G, like a brother, one of our people, he passes as well.
Indeed. 2007, I want to say. Was it 2000? Yeah, I think it was 2007, May. 23. He was 23.
Yeah. Yep. And this like kind of is like something else that's shocking. Rocks everybody like nobody expected.
Yeah.
You were definitely the closest in arms to Mike G.
A lot of people don't know. Mike G stayed with me on Glendale for a minute. So we that also helped cultivate that relationship a little bit. It's funny. I got a verse in my safe that he wrote to me that I found after he passed. So
Deep.
Yeah.
Deep. And this whole time, you're also still crafting some creativity, drawing. You're still being creative. And then not to mention also your Uncle Jack, like that was another like
that
thing
came
that
in
was
2008. What,
Yeah.
Barack Obama. Oh wait,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yep. Because we were listening. My president is black. Like I want to say like that whole day, and then it was like, hey, Uncle James, and it was like, word.
Funny story about that day. I was with Tristan. I don't remember why. We was on the east side too. It happened on Davidson. before 6 Mile. I want to say before 6 Mile, like right in front of a church or whatever. But I was further east, let's say like 7 Mile, Van Dyke, something like that.
Yeah.
So when I had to come back west, it was traffic. It was like some shit going on. We didn't know what it was. It was that. When I got back home, I figured out, you know what I'm saying, that was my uncle who had been in a situation.
Yeah,
So,
an accident where he was murdered in an accident.
Motorcycle.
So that was heavy.
Yeah.
And all of this cultivating to like to lead into, you know, where you move even in artistry. So where do you start? And I'm like, we're talking, we're interacting more. We're still kind of finding our footing with what plays we'll set up, as we call them now. When do you start saying, okay, this is kind of where I want to go with my artistry? You know, like you're crafting around, but when does it hit you that like, okay, wait, I'm gonna use my creativity as my key asset to engage in creating opportunity?
I don't think that clicked probably till around 2010 for real. So even through all my creative endeavors, I guess before that point, to me, I was doing nothing but honing my craft, regardless of what direction I thought I had or what I was gonna do. That's what I was doing. I was just simply getting better. Then in like 2010, I mean, this is during the time of unemployment. I'm not, you know, I'm at crib collecting unemployment, but I'm still doing my artistry. I found out that I could make $2,000 off a piece of my artwork that I didn't really have to put much effort in. So that, you know, turned on the switch in my mind to say, okay, maybe I could be more serious about this thing to turn it into something else. So I just kind of still honed my craft during the time. But now I got the light bulb on. I don't have the direction, but the bulb is on.
Okay. So talk about what that feeling is where the bulb is on, where you know what you want to do, but you don't necessarily know how you want to do it. Because it's a lot of people in that space.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just like everything's rough in the beginning. Regardless of where you are, you got to build your chops up. You got to get experience, things like that, right? Shortly after this time of unemployment, I got a job in Dearborn doing design for a company for Ford, tier 1 supplier or whatnot. I want to say 2012 is when that was, and that's the year I started Grind Ave. And I was kind of, I don't want to say shooting the ideas through them, but they got a chance to see a lot of the early stuff. So a lot of, I don't want to say why I chose to navigate the way I do now, but it kind of came from there. Just questions they would ask. Sometimes I have an answer. Sometimes I have something for them. Sometimes I don't. But I guess it made me focus on how I wanted to do Grind Ave, and it, you know, kind of birthed out of that. Started from another idea I had. I don't want to give the whole thing away, but it was called like the T-shirt vault. And at this time, Jordans was cracking every week, right? Or some other shoe. So I create a concept, I make the shirt for it, I get the shoe, and then I'll post the shoe. I was finding myself spending so much money buying shoes and then trying to get this artwork done and getting it ready before this next one. And I was just burning, man. And it's like, all right, I can't do this. And then, I don't know, Grind Ave, it just clicked. So I kind of transitioned from doing a T-shirt vault to just sticking to like one brand and we just gonna make merch items from this brand.
And that merch ended up being something real exclusive, as it's a couple ways to be a creative. It's like a creative for hire, which a lot of my work can be like that.
Yep.
And then a lot of your work, which you and my sister Dar, I think are very much like that. You all create signature pieces that you may offer to the public, but you're still curating whatever the artistic experience is. It's not like a person coming to you and saying, hey, you know, can you put Bugs Bunny eyes on top of Mickey Mouse's shirt on top of, you know, it's like, nah, I'm not doing that. This is what I do. This is what I have. Get on my program.
Yeah.
And Grind Ave is definitely one of those things as I've watched it become, you know, from a shirt to a hat to sweatshirts to also jewelry, like it's become like a lifestyle brand.
I mean, that's the perfect way to kind of describe it, lifestyle brand. I mean, it kind of started from my lifestyle. Again, I got to get shit done, right? Mm-hmm. Grind. So that's where that came from. Everybody all over the world can, I guess you can say, relate to hard work to achieve a goal, right? So I knew that it was something that was a universal term, you know, Grind Ave. Everybody could, everybody could feel Grind Ave. But really, man, Grind Ave is just my marketplace. It's my brand where you could buy Grind Ave branded items, period.
Which the other thing, and we always talk about this through me and my marketing, it's like you run things like with exclusivity, meaning like if you have something that is Grind Ave, it's very signature. You may have piece 1 of 100.
Sure.
And that piece ain't coming back.
Yep.
Like it's very unique, it's very niche. So you heighten the scarcity, which heightens the value, which makes people even appreciate getting that piece more and more.
I think so. I think more so when we start talking about the jewelry side of it, because that same logic is going to come into play, where you'll have your limited collections and exclusivity, because that's kind of how I'm pretty much, you know, operating those things.
And jewelry itself, that's something else. Fashion, jewelry, you're into. What was the gateway to say, all right, I'm going to make my own jewelry? Because it's a lot of people that like jewelry. It's a lot of people that wear jewelry, but it's not a lot of people that make jewelry.
Right. So
especially like you think like a black dude, you know, young black dude making jewelry. You know what I'm saying?
From 12th Street, right? You
yeah.
know?
From 12th,
so yeah. No, I get you. Well, first of all, I've been into jewelry my whole life. Most kids, you know, all love jewelry, whatever. But started 4th, 5th grade herringbones. Then kind of just kept stepping it up from there. I got to high school. My dad gave me a big joint, you know. So I had a nice ass thick chain in high school. But that love for it kind of never, you know, went anywhere. Now, on the other hand, I am a designer, right? I use the computer to create 3D products every day. So at some point, I just was like, let me try to design a chain. At this point, I had no jewelry knowledge at all. So right now, I'm just doing freestyle research to kind of get sizes and, you know, gauges of metal and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I just designed me up a Cuban link. Took a while, but I got it. And I was like, I think I like this. Something I could stick with. And at this point, I hadn't had the complete idea yet. But I just still kept trying to design like little stuff. And then pandemic hit. We all at home. So I don't know if at that point I just had designed a particular amount of jewelry or whatever, but we were working from home now. So now I'm at home working. Work is not hard. Get work done, get that out the way. So now we can, you know, kind of brainstorm on this thing over here. And I came up with an idea. Went and met with some folks that I know who were in the, you know, in the game behind the scenes. Put a team together, created me a jewelry company, and kind of like the rest is history from that. And to this day, that's what I'm doing.
You've done at this point in time, and I'm going to show in this, you've done some decent amount of custom pieces. Clients,
Yeah.
that, have these ideas, but you still have, like I say, it's always going to be your signature brand.
Indeed.
What's different about designing jewelry that, that you've learned, and then also this is like chemistry too, because you're involved in alloys and metals, and
But that's it. That's engineering way. I've been doing this my whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like through design, you gain engineering knowledge of whatever product you're working on.
Okay.
And all of that just carries over and carries over and carries over and carries over. And at this point, you just have all this wealth of knowledge. So that's kind of where I am. I've got a wealth of knowledge in design. Automotive is boring as fuck to me. Jewelry is not.
Yeah.
So I chose to kind of put my efforts toward
something that
was
your mind
more fulfilling. Yeah, yeah.
So we talk about the jewelry being more fulfilling and keeping your mind. What do you see next? I know you got this special piece connected to Cast Tech that I'm gonna show.
Yeah.
But what do you see next? What's gonna be something you offer?
Well, as far as the custom pieces, that's gonna slow down next year.
Okay.
And I'm gonna just concentrate on these collections, like you just mentioned. The cast piece is a part of a collection, which I keep that under wraps right now.
Okay.
But I'm gonna just continue on that kind of thing. We'll do collection pieces for like moments, say like graduation or my first house. I'm just throwing things out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what these things will look like, but that's what I'm reaching for.
Okay. And the customers, who do you think is the ideal customer for something that's customized? And am I overreaching? Like, what's the difference getting jewelry from you versus going to like K Jewelers or, Jared or something like that?
I mean, I tell you this. I don't care what jewelry store you go into. Ain't none of them designing the shit. Not one of them. They paying somebody to do it. So that right there sets me alone. I mean that'll probably be the biggest thing.
Okay.
Just sets me aside is the fact that I'm designing it myself.
Okay. So what are your big visions as far as like some of the next things you're gonna do outside of the collection? Like 5 years from now, what do you see? Will it be like a jewelry store? Will it be selling the collection to other jewelry stores? What do you see next?
I've had a vision of like a storefront, but I don't know where. So I don't know what that all the way looks like.
Okay.
Being that everything is so virtual, hell, I might just open up some type of virtual store. I don't know, because I'm strictly all online right now. But I gotta have a flagship location somewhere. So I mean that's gonna come.
Okay. And for people to know authenticity, if you're buying something online, how do you even know it's authentic? How do you know what's gold, what's silver, what's, or not like, 1% gold and like, 99% tinfoil or something? Like, how do people check that?
Appraisal. Simply put, just get your jewelry appraised by a company you trust. Okay.
And right now, is Josh Adams on the podcast. He talks about his days at the pawn shop and stuff. The appraisers may be the pawn shop, which I don't know if that's the best appraisers, but
Well, that's not what the appraisal's for. You know what I mean? The appraisal's for insurance purposes. That's really part of the game of jewelry. That's where you make your money at.
Explain.
Let's say you got $100,000 chain, right?
Yeah.
And you just go jet skiing. You're a rapper though. So it's all expense.
It's a write-off.
Yeah, it's all expensed. That $100,000 chain that you had appraised didn't cost you $100,000. It might have cost you 20. might have cost you 25. The insurance company's gonna pay you 100.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean by that. That's where the value of, I don't want to say the majority of your piece will come from, but that's the upfront value, the appraise. But
so the appraisals, you kind of need to work with an appraiser that has relationships with the or reputation.
Reputation
for
is
for the insurance company, because it can't just be like like I just cut this diamond on this glass, man. This works. This
sign of Ashley Larry.
Yeah, $100,000. Here you go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, reputation definitely plays a big part of that. So, yeah, I would go to whoever you trust, whether it's me or whoever. You know, I'm not saying anything is better because it's me. I mean, appraisal is an appraisal. Go to who you trust. Whoever you shop with would probably be the best to get an appraisal from.
Okay.
Because they actually did the work.
What does an official jewelry appraisal look like? Is it like a form?
It's a piece of paper. It usually tells you description, size, weight. It's signed by whoever the appraiser is, whatever store. Okay. I almost want to say they may have a serial type number on it, just for record within their store.
And then I was gonna say also, what who gives the authority for different people to appraise?
I mean, so it's like a certification. It's like anybody just can't do it. You have to have a certain piece of paper in order to do that. Okay. So it's almost like a degree, or whatever.
Okay.
So,
because I was gonna say
you can't. Everybody out here,
like, yo,
we ain't doing the Brazilian butt lifts or certifications out here.
Yes, exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, here you go. I'm on. All right. So, this Cast Tech piece.
Yeah. Why
you do it? What's happening with it? And as you talking, I want to play. What people gonna see, because it looks real cool. Why you do it? What's happening with it?
Well, first of all, I went to Cast, so it kind of makes sense there.
Okay. Yeah, true.
I'm giving a little bit of the design away before you showed it, but it has the actual old building on there. I don't know. It's just a reverence for that building itself, right? Those who go to Cast have pride that they went to Cast as well. Yeah. So that was an element to it. And then we'll go back to the fact that I went there. Okay. and it was just kind of like that. And it's like, all right, let me come up with a design and put it together and see what it looks like. And I want to say it kind of reminds me of like the whole class ring type of thing. Yeah. So who knows? I may be end up at somebody's university, designing their stuff. I mean, the guy who did the Milwaukee Bucks rings, something Hollywood. I don't remember his name, but I never heard of him before. And now you just see him plaqued all over everything. Yeah. But it's good work though. It was a beautiful design. Yeah, you sent that to me. So for what he's talking about is the Milwaukee Bucks that just won the championship, the NBA championship, and what their ring is. And they also have tiers of like the replica ring as a fan that you can buy, because I definitely don't know when Milwaukee's going to win another championship, but beyond that, you could be a part of the experience, like the Sports Illustrated commercial. You could be a part of the experience of Milwaukee winning this championship by having your own ring. Indeed. Yeah, but he kind of, when I seen that kind of solidified, like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to do this, the Cast Tech idea. And then that, like I say, that kind of drifted off into other peripheral ideas that are coming along with it. But I'm not going to share that right now. Y'all catch that later. Okay. So, yeah, I definitely think that. What else do you see next as far as some of the things that you're working on with Grind Ave? I am getting ready to, like, I ain't gonna say like the bigger piece, but I'm gonna put some smaller pieces like this on the site for sale. Maybe some silver ones, some more affordable ones, just across the spectrum, just so anybody will have an option.
Yeah, because you like gold a lot.
Yeah, fact.
And also is are a person that, curated more so the value of what gold is. Why is gold so valuable as a metal, as a precious metal?
Well, it's been around since the beginning of time, right? It's from the earth. Why gold versus
Aluminum
something else?
Yeah.
I don't know. That those answers lie somewhere else. I mean, I know aluminum is a practical metal. Steel, silver is a practical precious metal, but gold is 30 times the amount of silver. Yeah. Even though we use silver industrially, right? So I don't know, but I could tell you what the market says. But yeah, I don't know specifically why. It's a lot. It's like it's like I feel like Elon Musk and Tesla. Why is it? Yeah, it go up, sometime it go down. I mean it's a lot of other factors. I mean, because gold is a universal currency. It's accepted everywhere in the world. Paper is not.
Yeah.
So I kind of, I don't want to say adopted that attitude, but I look at it like that.
Okay.
At the end of the day, your gold can be traded for something, and it can be traded for something way more valuable than that paper you got in your pocket.
Okay. So with that being said, that brings us to the classic Detroit is Different questions. So very first question, your first car, year, make, and model, and what year did you get it? And I was probably definitely in that ride too, but
yep, that bitch was slamming. 1986 Monte Carlo LS had the Euro clip on it. 2000, I think 2000 or 01.
Yes, sir. That was definitely
Midnight Blue, Midnight Love.
That was definitely 2000. Yep, and you added a lot to it. Yeah, you added a lot to it.
I think I don't know. Looking back, my whole creative journey was kind of interesting because I guess you can say that was like one of my first bigger canvases. I painted that car, we put sounds in that car, we did interior in that car. I put probably three or four motors in that car. You know what I mean? So had a lot of hands-on experience. It taught me a lot.
Yeah, sounds for real.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah,
that's why I love
that
music. 3-6 Mafia. 3-6. It's so much 3-6 Mafia got played in that car. That's how I knew Bone had no chance, dog.
I mean, we talking about the verses that recently passed, and like I was telling Josh, I love Bone and I like the catalog of 3-6, but in the format of a versus.
3-6
Bone
Mafia
is not,
way
their
too
music
high
is
energy.
Not, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Bone music, you gonna sleep to, smoke weed to.
Yeah, chill to, kick it. Whatever.
It's very laid back type of music. It's not high. I can't even think of a high energy song that they have.
Very few. But yeah, that's what. Yeah, that definitely was that soundtrack. Sounds. That's back when. Boy, we really going. It's back when LP worked at Circuit City.
Shit, I think Ricardo was at Circuit City right then too.
Yep. Yes, sir. So it was a couple wires are here and there that you could get, through a discount, But where did you go the first day you got the ride? Where's the first place you pulled up?
Shit, hell if I know. I can tell you the first day I drove to Cass, it was snowing. when I got ready to come up on the exit, I tapped the brake and the ass of the car was like, I'm like, all right, here we go. So got that mug back straight, and I'm like, all right, rule number 1, don't slam on that brake again.
So people that know that exit of the old Cass, it's that Grand River exit where it's like it's a real tight, sharp turn right there.
Yep.
And as we know, the student parking lot was...
That parking lot fly now.
Yeah.
They got a booth up and everything.
Yeah, but back then it was...
it was straight up...
Park at your own risk.
Unclaimed land that a guy would just collect $1 from us for every single day.
Yeah, and Lord knows, the potholes, the unevenness, the whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that is the ride. And that brings us to the next question. You're the DJ at the end of the fireworks. You get to play 3 songs. what 3 songs you playing and why. So you Woodward and Jefferson, fireworks just ended, you the DJ, what songs you playing?
Shit, man, this is probably a bad question for me because all the music I listen to is just so fucking amped up. Mm-hmm. What year? Give me a year. What year are we in the fireworks?
Let's keep it back then. Let's say 2001. We graduate.
I was heavy on Rockefeller.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, because Ludacris kind of came out with some higher energy shit around that time too.
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm. Yep.
When did Move Bitch come out? Like, I'm trying to get to the crib. Move, bitch, get out the way. That probably but see, that's gonna get everybody ran over and trampled on the way home, man.
That would.
Yeah, but no, I like I say, I like all that high energy shit. So, shit, what the hell was 3-6 rocking right then? When did Choices come out? Choices was
probably
like
Who Run It, probably Who Run It, and
tear the club up there. It probably would have been one of they shits, man. I don't know. Now that we thinking about it.
Okay.
Especially back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, if
some
bass lines was what I was into. If your shit didn't have bass, you wasn't getting played. A lot of that New York shit didn't get no play with me early because all of their music was cold. You know what I mean? Didn't have no warmth to it, no bass. So DJ Quick was one of the first, artists in rap that I was actually listening to. So I don't know, that West Coast sound is just warm, man.
Yeah, so I got you. And last question, if you could rename Woodward after one Detroiter, who would it be and why?
Let's see. Who represents Detroit? So, I'm just about to start throwing some names out there. I mean, because we had Kwame, we have... I mean, all right, now that I say that, if I had to just hurry up and throw something out there, one person that I hear representing Detroit a lot is Big Sean.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I'm saying that now, Big Sean always seemed to be a positive dude. You know what I'm saying? I don't know him, of course. He did go to Cass too, but I don't know. Dude's dope.
Yeah,
he always positive. I don't have nothing bad to say about him. You know what I mean? So I don't know who's not hating on him. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I don't know.
Kendrick Lamar.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know too many that I could just say straight up represent. I mean, of course, Trick.
Mm-hmm.
He always been holding us down. I don't know. Maybe one of them two. And I don't know why I'm stuck in music, but for some reason, I don't know. I go back to music with a lot of stuff.
Okay. All right. We rock it there. We keep it there. All right. So if people want to get in contact with you, reach out to you, how do they connect?
You can catch me on Instagram at Michael Rose. That's Rose with a Z. Mm-hmm. Grind Ave on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And Rose Gold JCO on Instagram. Michael Rose is my personal page. You can catch all of the cool stuff that's happening there. Rose Gold's brand new, so we're really just going to start professionally posting all the jewelry and stuff, so you can kind of see what it's pretty much our work on that, And of course, Grind Ave is Grind Ave. Oh, artwork, same deal. That's something that's going to be coming up in 2022. That was kind of my original idea with like the Grind Ave marketplace. I just needed a place to sell my stuff, my art. So I'm finally gonna get some art on there, 2022, and that'll be available on grindave.com. Grindave.com is up and running, and there are things on there for you to purchase right now. Again, grindave.com.
And then also for people about the artistry, and I'm gonna post some of this too as people see, but anybody that's been in my house, the Nipsey picture, that's Mike. The Eye of the Storm, That's Mike.
Oh, I like my favorite piece.
I got other pieces that's Mike. If you, my people, and you are artists, I'm going to have some of your pieces, some of Notion pieces, Devin pieces, Sterling pieces, Escada's on the wall. All types of stuff. Like artistry, I'm going to support a visual art big time. But thank you so much. Cool interview. Always.
Oh yeah, my man outside going wild at the end.
Hey, that's the block. You know what I'm saying? That's the culture of the block.
Indeed, gotta love it, bro.
All right, peace.
Peace.
The Detroit is Different Community Group is a 501c3 organization focused and built around the project work of the A Lot of Studio Project. The A Lot of Studio Project is the project allowing for podcast conversation, live music performance, and also giving away fruits and vegetables within the community. When you support the Detroit is Different Community Group 501c3 organization, you're supporting the A Lot of Studio Project. Send your email address along with your donation to # Detroit 501c3 to the Detroit is Different Community Group for your tax-deductible donation letter.